harmony. Says, son, there's only one thing to set your soul free. Wasn't no easy street where I come from. There wasn't no sleep until the work was done. That victory bell. One for the money, two another show. Three, start your engines now and rock and roll.
And now, it's time for me to review my own predictions for the 2022 NASCAR season. And I'm going to be starting with prediction number 1, the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum. And for this prediction, I had said that there would be less than 5 lead changes throughout the entire duration of the main event. And as it turns out, the total number of lead changes were 5. So that's a little bit more than I was anticipating. And the winner of the event was Joey Logano, which is rather interesting, considering that he won the Bristol Dirt Race last year, which was another new event that hasn't been done since the pre-modern era of NASCAR. Prediction number 2. The Daytona season opener prediction. And starting off was the Daytona 500 pole winner. And for this, I had predicted that Chase Elliott would win the Daytona 500 pole. Well, it turns out it was last year's champion, Kyle Larson, getting his first ever Daytona 500 pole. And once again, Alex Bowman got another front row start in the 500. And next up was the Daytona truck race. And for this, I had predicted Jordan Anderson. Unfortunately, and then the winner was Zane Smith. And for the Xfinity race, I had predicted Austin Hill.
Heck yeah! Dad, can I have permission to say hell yeah?
Just a moment.
And finally, for the Daytona 500, I had predicted Brad Keselowski would get his big win in the 500. Well, it turns out it ended up being the driver who took over the car that he used to drive for Team Penske, and that being Austin Cindric. And now, prediction number 3. And this one was my biased prediction in regards to RFK Racing. And this was about how both Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher would perform this year. And starting off with Brad Keselowski, I had said that he would get around a few top 5s and a couple of top 10s, and he would even get his first win on a road course. Yeah, that one did not work out in my favor. In fact, this season was arguably the worst season of Keselowski's career on record, with only 1 top 5 and 6 top 10s. So yeah, this was not exactly good. But, on the other hand, for Chris Buescher,
2 more turns for the Bass Pro Shops night race. Chris Buescher will win his 2nd Cup Series race, and it happens in Bristol.
That's awesome. Good job, yeah.
I hear him almost out of breath.
I hope Jack Roush is here tonight.
this was honestly great to see. Buescher finally got his 2nd career win at Bristol and ended the season with 3 top 5s and 10 top 10s, which is the best of his career thus far. And it honestly makes me forget the fact that Buescher missed the debut race at Gateway because he got a ticket to the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
Backstreet's back, alright?
So please, stay indoors and stay away from the Backstreet Boys reunion tour.
For the love of God.
Prediction number 4, and this was in regards to 2311 racing. More specifically about Bubba Wallace and Kurt Busch. And for Bubba Wallace, I had predicted that he would get his first full-length race win and make it into the playoffs. Bubba Wallace did fulfill the first part of that prediction by winning the 2nd race at Kansas, but that was in the playoffs, and unfortunately, Bubba Wallace was not a part of that. And as for Kurt Busch, it turns out he actually won the first race at Kansas, but all hopes of him getting a 2nd win for his first multi-win season since 2015 did not go so well, as that all went up in smoke after the incident in his qualifying crash at Pocono, as it's pretty much put an end to his full-time career. But I still hope that 2311 Racing can bring out a 3rd car so Kurt can still compete at least on a partial basis going forward. But yeah, 2311 Racing is still having some pretty tough times, but I think that for what it's worth, Kurt Busch did bring a lot more to the table, and not only did it help the team, but I also think it really helped Bubba Wallace as well. And next year, with Tyler Reddick on the team, I think this team can only get better from here. Prediction number 5. The first-time winners in the Cup Series. Now, I had 8 drivers predicted, and I got 5 out of 8. And that being Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Chase Briscoe, Daniel Suarez, and the rookie Austin Cindric. Unfortunately, the ones that I didn't get right were Harrison Burton, Ty Dillon, and Daniel Hemrick. I feel like Ty Dillon could have a likely chance again next year, driving for Spire Motorsports. And Daniel Hemrick did not have the best season overall in both Cup and the Xfinity Series. And Harrison Burton, well, at least he did get a top 5 at Indianapolis, but he definitely needs to do a lot more to impress. Prediction number 6, the Xfinity Series first-time winners. This one was pretty disappointing. Out of all the drivers that I had listed, only one of them managed to win, and that was Austin Hill. And it's really disappointing because Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, and Landon Castle all had good opportunities to win a race multiple times this year. And as for other drivers like Ryan Sieg and Alex LeBay, they weren't exactly much of a factor this year. But next year, there needs to be a massive abundance of first-time winners to make up for the disappointment that we had this year. Prediction number 7, the Truck Series first-time winners. And this one was probably the most disappointing because none of the drivers that I had listed here managed to win. Not Carson Hocevar, not Hailie Deegan, or Timmy Hill, or Brett Holmes. And Brett Holmes is the one that I feel the most hurt by because of the fact that he was pretty much robbed of that win at Talladega, similar to Brennan Poole in 2016 in the Xfinity Series. But the winners that we ended up getting were Corey Heim, Ty Majeski, and again, can't believe I'm saying this, Matt DiBenedetto. That one was definitely an impressive win, but I hope that he can keep building off of this to help get the Rackley War team a little bit more success. Prediction number 8. Now this was the prediction about Todd Bodine, but for this prediction, I'm going to be turning it over to someone new who will be reviewing this prediction, and that being Bowser Jr. XD.
MF17's 8th prediction was that Todd Bodine, who is returning for 6 races in 2022, would win one of them. Those 6 races were to get him to 800 total NASCAR starts across all 3 series. He made his starts at Las Vegas, Darlington, Texas, Sonoma, Nashville, and Pocono. It's perhaps very fitting that he is known as the Onion, because his performance was enough to make us cry.
No! Oh, you leave them out in the sun, they get all brown, start sprouting little white hairs. No!
His highlight was a top 10 at Darlington, but besides that, he finished in the top 20 only 2 other times. And to top it all off, at his last race, which was at Pocono, he crashed out and finished his career with a last place finish of 36th. Todd Bodine, I love you, man, but you went out with a whimper.
Prediction number 9. This was the prediction about the winners of the new tracks on the schedule for all 3 series. And this prediction will be covered by another new person. And this time, it's by a person simply known as Vaxon.
In 2022, NASCAR was home to many new tracks in its top 3 national series, most notably in the Truck Series. The first of which was Sonoma Raceway. It was the first time the NASCAR Truck Series came back to the track, having last raced in 1998. For the 2022 race, his prediction for the win was Tyler Ankrum driving for Hattori Racing, while he would get a good starting spot in 5th and finish the race in 9th, which is a great effort for the team that had a lot of speed all day long. But ultimately, it would be Kyle Busch who would go on to win the race after leading 45 laps.
Oh, God, it's dead!
Now the next new track for the NASCAR Truck Series in 2022 was the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It was the first time the trucks had ever raced at this track, although the NASCAR Xfinity Series has been racing there for several years now. His pick for the win that day was Parker Kligerman, who started the race in 2nd, right next to Corey Heim, who grabbed the pole for that day. Ultimately, his prediction would be correct, as Parker Kligerman would go on to have one of his best races in his career. After leading 56 laps, Parker Kligerman would go on to win the very first NASCAR Trucks race at Mid-Ohio. The next new track on the NASCAR Truck Series schedule was IRP, also known as Indianapolis Raceway Park. And once again, this is a track that the NASCAR Truck Series actually raced on. His pick for the win was Hailie Deegan, and unfortunately she was not able to deliver. At the end of the day, it would be Grant and Figure who would cross the line first. He had to beat a dominant Ty Majeski and Jonathan Nemechek, who both led 71 and 75 laps respectively. Now the Xfinity Series, there was only one new track, and that track was Portland. His pick for the win for that day was Alex Labbe. Now Alex Labbe did not lead a single lap, but he did get a pretty good finish, finishing in 10th. After starting 23rd. However, he had two alternate picks for that day as well. The first was Ty Gibbs, who would go on to finish 7th.
Oh my gosh! He just gets tagged by Jesse Awuchi.
Hey! What are you doing?
How does that happen?
Yeah, we gotta get another replay to see.
The second one, AJ Allmendinger, to no surprise, went on to win the race.
Yes! Mother of God! I am the king of Five Nights at Freddy!
And finally, for the NASCAR Cup Series, Worldwide Technology Raceway, or as it's more commonly known, Gateway. Now this time around, his pick for the win was Denny Hamlin. His alternate pick was Alex Bowman. Now unfortunately, neither driver would finish in the top 10. Heck, Denny Hamlin finished 11 laps down.
I'm going to kill you, and then kill you again.
As for Alex Bowman, he finished the race in 13th. But it would be Joey Logano who would go on to win the race. He led 22 laps that day. Pretty solid performance if you ask me.
Nobody asked.
Prediction number 10. And this was in regards to the potential return of one of 3 old-time legacy racetracks. The ones in question being either the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Rockingham Speedway, or North Wilkesboro Speedway. And as it turns out, the one track that is returning is North Wilkesboro Speedway. That's right, after more than a quarter century of being off the schedule, North Wilkesboro is back, and it's also playing host to the All-Star Race next year. Yes! This is a pretty big deal for not just North Wilkesboro, but the potential of the return of any other tracks like it that have been abandoned by the sport as well. And in regards to the other tracks, Nashville's Fairgrounds Speedway is still pretty much up in the air, but SMI is still working with the Nashville City Council to get Bristol Motor Speedway to be the co-owners of the track to run it for all major events. And Rockingham Speedway, at the time of this video's release, is still ongoing with a repave, and its plans for the future still have yet to be determined, but at some point, maybe even that track could return as well.
Milwaukee, yes I love Milwaukee, and Milwaukee, yes I love Milwaukee.
Prediction number 11, and this was in regards to Michael Klein, a person who I've gotten to know very well over the last 2 years, and about the potential of him making his debut in the ARCA series. Well, it could have happened this year, as apparently one of the initial plans was for Michael Klein to make his debut in the ARCA race at IRP in July, driving for team owner Alex Clubb. But unfortunately, the plans did not come to fruition. And any other potential plans to make starts in any other ARCA races also did not come to fruition. But Michael Klein is looking to make his debut in 2023, and I personally really am pulling for him to finally put everything together and get his chance to make his debut in that series, because he could go a long way if the opportunity finally arises for him. that wraps up my 2022 NASCAR season prediction results. I definitely think that this year I was on point with a few of these things, but not so much with the others. And once again, I want to give a shout out to Bowser Jr. XD and Vaxen for being a part of this year's prediction results video. And I definitely plan to be doing this again for 2023. But anyways, this is MF17, and I hope to see you again in 2023.